Pedro from A&P-Reacts. I'm here today with Mikko from Swallow the Sun to talk about Moonflowers. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for taking the time. How are you doing today?
Well, like every other day, just sitting at home. It's been like this for past 20 months, and but next week things are gonna change, and so feeling excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play in Toronto. So I've already marked on my calendar. I'm going to be seeing you guys December 3rd in the great city of Toronto.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. Like it's one of my favorite cities in North America, and it's always a great show in Toronto. And yeah, good to come back.
It's nice to have you guys back. Going into the album Moonflowers, I have to ask you this because it's a question that has always been on my mind, not just about Moonflowers, but about Swallow the Sun in general. How is an album born, and how are those first steps of that baby record?
It usually goes like this. Like it's Juha basically starts the writing process without telling anyone else. Then he finished the songs and sends us message and demo tracks, and then we start recording the album. So it's very simple. It works for us, and yeah, and yeah, it's been like this for many years, and it seems to be a good way for us to make an album.
Does it ever change from record to record, or that is like the standard that it's been this way from the beginning and it's that way still today?
Well, it changed after first 3 albums, and it's been like this ever since. And it's probably mostly because we are pretty much like spread out. Juha lives in Sweden, and others, we still live in Finland, but we live in different cities, so we don't actually see each other that much if we are not on tour. And so yeah, we basically do everything from home, and we don't even have a rehearsal place anymore. And like but yeah, this seems to be the best way for us, and it's been working, so why not to change it?
Yeah, it's the results are definitely there, so I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
When I first saw the album, the artwork really struck with me. I thought there was a sense of simplicity to the artwork, but at the same time, that simplicity tells perhaps a much larger story. What was the inspiration behind the title of the record and the artwork on the album?
Well, it's like those flowers on the cover. Those are like hand-picked flowers from Juha's own backyard, and yeah, he really wanted to use those because there's like very personal theme on the album. And yeah, I think he already picked up those flowers back in 2016 after shitty events happened to him, and he photographed the flowers already back then, and yeah, he really wanted to use those on the album cover this time, and now it was a fitting time to do that. And yeah, and he also painted the moon himself, and but yeah, it was totally like his idea, and he wanted to do it this way. And I think when he first told about his ideas for the album cover, I was like, well, yeah, this sounds totally fine, and like it's a cool idea. And but yeah, there isn't like any super mystery behind it. It's just it's his artwork, and it fits for the personal theme of the album. So that's the story behind it, basically.
When I was listening to the record, the structure of the album really hit me because I felt like this is something that perhaps you guys haven't done before. The album didn't feel to me that it had a beginning and that it had an end. It felt more like it was a snapshot of a journey that's still yet to be completed. And the record kind of felt like that as you progress through it. Do you see the record from that sense that maybe this is a part of a much larger journey and it's just a snapshot of where you guys currently are?
Well, who knows? Like, the future will tell. Like, but yeah, I think it's I think the album is like full circle. Like, if you really think about like how it starts and think about the lyrics and the way the album starts with the first song, and then you think about the last song of the album, how it ends, it almost comes back to the beginning by the end of the last song. So but yeah, who knows? Like, who knows if there's gonna be one more Swallow the Sun album after this or not. It's hard to tell if this is a part of the story or end of it or anything. Future will tell. But
you mentioned the song at the end, This House Has No Name. I felt that was perhaps the heaviest track on the album, and you guys closed with an absolute banger. They had a little bit of a sense of a cliffhanger, like you reach this peak and then you're not quite sure of what's coming next. What was the thought process behind putting a song like that at the end of the record?
I think it was really obvious choice to be the last song of the album, and it's I think we have always ended the albums with like a little bit weird choices. And what the fuck is that? My neighbor is doing some renovation. Sorry about that. Hope you don't hear that.
No, I don't hear it.
Yeah. So but yeah, if you think about our previous albums too, like yeah, the last song of the album is it's always it always stands out from the other songs a bit, and so is it on this album too. And like but in my head there's no other choice to be the last song of the album out of those 8 tracks. So I don't know why, but it feels that way. And can't really explain it, but I think out of those 8 songs, that's the only choice to be the last song.
I don't disagree with you. I think that song is very unique in its own way. So if you put it anywhere else within the record, it kind of throws the rest of the album off. So you almost have to leave that uniqueness all the way to the end when there's nothing else for you to distract the listener from.
Yeah, and exactly, and like yeah, and we are still like making albums, the whole albums, and like we are not fan of like well, I don't think we could ever release music like just one song by one. The album needs to be whole experience, and like it has to be like, yeah, I think it's maybe it's a bit old school way to do it these days, but I don't mind. Like, we are what we are, and that's the way we want to do things.
The orchestrations on this record really added a very nice layer to the overall soundscape. How do you guys manage to keep those orchestrations part of the atmosphere, but not necessarily allowing them to control the direction that the album has to take?
Well, I think the thing is that I think the guitar riffs are always the base of the songs. So so the orchestrations and keyboards are just spice on top of the guitars. So I think our music has always been like guitar driven music. So I think that's why it's easier to do the layering of the stuff. Like if the songs were composed by like, you know, keyboards, it would be totally different thing. But yeah, I think we are kind of like still like rock band in that sense, that we compose the songs with the guitar. So
with the guitar in mind. Moving into the vocals, which is your arena here. Before I even talk about your own vocals, I have to talk about having Cammy from Oceans of Slumber on the record on the song All Hallows Grieve. What did you guys feel that that song was missing, that you needed somebody else, and what made her the perfect choice for that track?
Well, if you think about the lyrics, there's like two people telling the story on the song, and why Cammy? Well, she's probably the best. So yeah, we got to know her some years back. I think it was 2016 when we played in Houston, Texas. Cammy and Dobber from Oceans of Slumber came to see our show, and we've been friends since. And a couple of years back, like 2.5 years, we did the European tour with them, and like it was really cool to see Cammy singing every night. And it was pretty obvious that on that tour that if we are gonna ask someone to do female vocals, it's gonna be her. Like I think she's really unique, and like she doesn't sound like everyone else. I think she's probably my favorite like female singer in metal music these days. And so yeah, she was the best choice and the only choice. And
well, I was gonna say, when you're the best, you have to get the best.
Well, if you want to put it that way, I won't argue with you.
Any chance that you guys will do this song with Cammy when you're touring in North America this year?
Let's see, like yeah, that was in the plans, but let's see if we have time to rehearse the song. Like we pretty much start from the south, so I think Houston is like 4th or 5th gig of the tour, and I don't think if we have enough time to rehearse the song before that, like because we're gonna have one rehearsals in Helsinki before we fly out. So let's see, maybe not.
Maybe. Vocally for you, does this record tip the scale one way or another? I felt that there was a lot more clean vocals on this album than harsh vocals, but at the same time, the harsh vocals had a much bigger impact because they were really used in the right spots at the right time, which gave a much stronger kick. Do you see it that way, or do you feel like the album perhaps a little bit more balanced vocally?
Well, yeah, maybe you're right. Like, yeah, there's a lot more cleans, but yeah, maybe. I haven't really thought about it this way, but yeah, I think you are right. Like, I just always do my thing without thinking too much. It just comes out pretty naturally. But yeah, I think the growls I did for this one, for example, are a bit different from the previous album. Like I kind of returned to the lower growls on this one. So I did the higher screaming more on the previous album, but yeah, I think I'm also better singer than I was 3 years ago, so that helps too. And I quit smoking 2 years ago.
Yeah, all of those will have positive impact.
Probably.
Yeah. Do you have a process, like when you look at the lyrics for a song and you know what you can do vocally, is there a process that you go through in terms of choosing the best approach for the track, or does it happen a little bit more organic in terms of how you feel those lyrics and how you feel the song in general?
Usually there's like there's a good like guideline from Juha, like what would be like good in what part, what kind of vocals. But we've been doing this quite a long together, so I think everything just comes out like pretty naturally. Like if we need to find like a different tone of voice for some part, it's just we just basically do it. It just comes out like it should be usually. And yeah, and actually this time I recorded the vocals with Juho, the other guitar player, and the rest of it in Sweden. So I think I did the rest of the vocals in Sweden with David Castillo, and they were both like very good guys to record with, and they basically didn't focus too much on the really like perfection. They were like more focused on like the feeling. So I always liked that.
Is there a song that stands out for you vocally that was a little bit challenging or difficult to nail?
Oh, which was the hardest one? It was surprisingly probably the last track of the album. I think that was the most challenging. Like yeah, like the lyrics are quite heavy stuff to sing. That's the one of the trickiest parts on that one. And yeah, and there's a lot of screaming. That's getting more challenging the older you get. It was way easier when I was 18.
You need some salmiakki before to kind of
Maybe
the vocal cords.
Yeah, but they don't have good salmiakki in Sweden, so I was fucked.
One last question for you. Considering the lyrical content of Swallow the Sun, considering the sound, the atmosphere, when I listen to the music, it transports me, but at the same time, it drains me. It's music that takes a lot out of us, physically and mentally. It's just very draining. Is it a draining process for you working through an entire album?
Somehow, yes, but it's always when you hear the final mix and the master, it's always worth it. Like you just because you know when you get to that point, it's always been worth it, and that's the reward. And but it's weird that melancholic music. It's the weird thing about it, that it's always really like comforting also. And we are not that kind of persons who could probably ever play very like happy, positive, joyful music. It's just not us. Yeah, maybe that's the curse of being Finnish.
Yeah, you guys definitely represent that Finnish melancholic to a T. I don't think there's any band from Finland that does it as well as you do. Mikko, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in Toronto December 3rd during this North American tour. Best of luck, and it's nice to see you guys back on the road supporting this incredible album, Moonflowers, out November 19th on Century Media. Take care.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.
See you soon.